Thank you for watching Super Bowl week tonight. I am your host, Fidel Barraza. With me tonight is Isaac Durham, Parker Hall, Abe Seldowitz, Josh Smitty Smith, and Tarian Rogers. How are you guys doing?
Doing well.
Doing really good.
Fantastic.
Doing great.
Perfect. I don't know if you guys have heard, but we got a Super Bowl game this weekend. This Sunday. Kansas City Chiefs at Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's start out with Isaac. What's your thoughts on the game initially?
I don't have a team that I'm, sold on that's going to win this game right now. I'll probably have a prediction, the morning of the Super Bowl. But this was a lot of people's, early season prediction. Once Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay, a lot of people were saying Buccaneers, Chiefs. And I got to admit, throughout the season, I didn't expect Tampa Bay to be here, but they're on fire right now. Brady's been a lot better the second half of this season. All his weapons are playing outstanding. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. We even seen Scotty Miller last week. Antonio Brown. We don't know if he's going to play in this game or not. He's got his tight ends. He's got his running backs. I mean, the offense is clicking. The Chiefs, their offense is clicking too. For those of you who thought Mahomes was going to take a step back 2 weeks ago against the Bills because of his concussion-like symptoms and his turf toe, you were wrong. He's playing lights out. I don't really have an answer. I don't think anyone has an answer on how to guard Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce right now. Combining for 22 receptions for 290 and 2 touchdowns, that's just like unheard of. They have so many weapons around that whole offense. Both teams are playing great on defense right now. Like I said, I don't know who is going to win this game. I don't have a prediction. Tampa Bay, they have a guy named Devin White who is playing some of the best football from a defensive player that I've seen in a while. His sideline to sideline speed is just outrageously quick. I think that's going to hurt the Chiefs offense in a way. I don't think it's totally going to slow it down, but I think this game is going to be a lower scoring game than people think, maybe like mid-20s for each team. Like I said, close game. I want to say Buccaneers right now, but they got 2 safeties that are banged up, and Antoine Winfield Jr. and Jordan Whitehead. If those 2 play, I think I'll be pulling for Tampa Bay in this one.
Parker.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going off what Isaac said there. I had Tampa Bay getting into the Super Bowl at the beginning of the season, but as the season started and as it progressed, I was kind of didn't think that would happen and become a reality. And then especially when the playoffs started, I was saying Kansas City, Green Bay. So, I mean, I'm torn in this one. Tyrann Mathieu, my favorite player in the league right now, so I kind of want to see him win another one. But as a Cardinals fan, I want to see Bruce Arians, Todd Bowles, their coaching staff win the Super Bowl. I think they deserve it. So I don't know who I'm rooting for yet, but I know it's going to be a good game for sure.
All right. Tarian, can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So my bad. Wi-Fi problems. But so for me, like I've actually had the privilege to see both teams play live this year, Bucks and the Chiefs. And let's talk defense really quick. Like I look at 2 defenses that are pretty much mirror images of each other, in my opinion. Like they're both bend but don't break type defenses. Both defenses that like to blitz. Yards can be had against both defenses. Like the first time that Tyreek Hill played them, he went off. He had 300 yards, and he had 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. So he had a game. But I think to me, like the essential part of what's important to me against both teams is I think establishing a run, because I know both teams want to pass, right? But I think to me the key to beating the Chiefs, which it irritates me that teams do not play the Chiefs. Like I thought that, as funny as it sounds, I thought that the Cleveland Browns were well equipped to beat the Browns, but for some reason Nick Chubb only had 13 carries and Kareem Hunt only had 6 carries. So it's like, why are you – and then Baker Mayfield throwing the ball 41 times. Like, why are you throwing that many times against the Chiefs? Why are you running the ball so less against the Chiefs? The Chiefs have proved that they can't really stop the run very well, right? So if you have a guy like Leonard Fournette, I want to see Leonard Fournette get some carries to keep Patrick Mahomes off the field, because, again, Patrick Mahomes won't beat you if he's not on the field, right? And there's one stat that about Patrick Mahomes that a lot of people tend to not look at. But when he throws those little no-look passes a lot of the times, he's had 16 dropped interceptions this year, right? So if you're playing a team against a team like Tampa Bay Buccaneers that blitzes a lot, those interceptions, if they're caught, because we've seen them turn the ball over, against Drew Brees earlier on in the year, against Green Bay, they forced an interception. So they've been forcing turnovers. If Patrick Mahomes decides to get cute and throw no-look passes, the Bucs will step in front of those and intercept those, right? So I think that opportunities can be had, but it's one of those things to where who can capitalize on the momentum of the game and who can score touchdowns, because both defenses, they do a very good job of making you feel like, okay, I can score against this team, and then all of a sudden it's 3 instead of 7. So who can score the touchdowns and who can eliminate the 3 points, right? So who could turn 7 into 3, right? So and I think that's what the game's going to come down to, is key opportunities, who can get the opportunities and who can capitalize off of those opportunities.
All right, Abe.
Yeah, I think it's a really great matchup. First and foremost, you look at the quarterbacks, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes. They're obviously able to play at a really high level. They're going to be able to, put up 30 points. If the defenses aren't playing too well, they'll be able to do that. I think you look at the receivers, it's a really even matchup. You look at like Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, even AB. You look at Gronk and the Chiefs receivers, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. Demarcus Robinson just went on the COVID list, but we know they have Sammy Watkins. So they obviously have a very explosive offense. I think it's going to be a really good kind of test to see which offense is going to play better. I think Ronald Jones is going to be a really important key, because I think they're going to have to take advantage of the Chiefs. Overall, you have to try to win time of possession, because Patrick Mahomes is so good. And against the Bills, we saw what happened. He went for over 40 points. And they were really explosive, even though they were not even that explosive in the Browns game or the end of the regular season. So we know how dangerous they are. You have to run the ball against them. If you can control time of possession, you're able to win the game. But that's really that's very hard. And so they actually have to be able to run the ball consistently and commit to it. I think Tom Brady, he was very vulnerable against the Packers. He had 3 interceptions, so you definitely can't get to him. You definitely can't get him to turn the ball over and maybe give the other offense some easy chances. So, but overall, I think it's a very even match game. You have the 2 head coaches, Bruce Arians and Andy Reid, who are old timers and both very successful at what they do. So I think it's a lot of storylines and a lot of great matchups. The linebackers, as we talked about, Devin White, Levante David against Travis Kelce. I think that's going to be a major matchup to watch. I think their speed is going to be really good against Kelce in the passing game. So I'm excited, but I think the Chiefs, right now I'm taking the Chiefs to win, just because I think they played a much better game last week against the Bills than the Buccaneers did against the Packers.
Well, Abe, you didn't even need any days to think about your pick then, huh? You were just picking the Chiefs just like that.
Yes.
Now, this wouldn't have anything to do with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beating the Green Bay Packers, right?
No, it does not. I'm not going to be biased. I mean, yes, they did beat my team. However, I don't think I think the Buccaneers played. They were very beatable. I mean, the Packers had 2 3-and-outs right off the interceptions from Jair Alexander off of Tom Brady. Right, he had 3 interceptions in the second half. 2 of them we went 3-and-out, so we obviously wasted the opportunity. We just didn't play a very clean game. But I don't think the Buccaneers necessarily did also. I mean, they had some nice plays, but also you have to remember that when you have 3 turnovers in the second half, most teams like the Chiefs are easily able to overcome that, and it's almost game over. So I think they played a much cleaner game. They played the Bills much better than I think the Buccaneers played the Packers.
Excellent point, Abe.
Real quick, I like when you were naming off the guys, Godwin and Gronk. You left out Scotty Miller's name. I love that you did that.
Great. Hopefully it'll just be a fluke.
Allegedly faster than Tyreek Hill.
Hey, we might find out during the halftime at the Super Bowl. I mean, I don't know, Tyreek Hill and Scotty Miller. I mean, they might run a 40 against each other. We'll see. All right, Josh, let's get your thoughts on the game.
First and foremost, I think it's going to be a super exciting game. I think thinking even just in recent Super Bowl history, I don't think I've been excited about a game like this one, because usually we see the same old quarterbacks, and I know this is really kind of sticking to that pattern. We're seeing Patrick Mahomes for the second time, but you can't beat the storyline of young GOAT versus old GOAT. Everybody thinks that Pat Mahomes is going to be the next chosen one, and he very well could be. And Brady is the GOAT. As much as I dislike the guy as a Raiders fan, I respect him as a football fan and recognize his greatness. I think really it's going to come down to the defenses in this game. If the defenses can either force turnovers and score off those turnovers, I really feel like the team that's able to do that is going to win the game. We talked about ball control. I think that it's going to be really hard for the Chiefs to win that time of possession because the Buccaneers have the number 1 ranked run defense, and they are able to stop it. And so you're really going to have to focus on getting out of that. You're going to have to be able to either get some manufactured touches for your really speedy receivers, and that's for both teams. It's really interesting that you have all these speedy guys, you have these awesome receivers, so it's going to be interesting to see what these coaches are going to be able to do creatively to get these guys touches so that they can use that speed that they have. One other thing I want to touch on is that I really feel like home field advantage might be something in a Super Bowl for the first time. We've never seen that. It's only going to be 25,000 fans, but 7,500 of them are going to be from that area. And a lot of Bucs fans are buying up these tickets. A lot of Floridians are buying up these tickets. So we might actually see where that can actually play a factor because both these teams have had fans in the stadium. So it might actually do something. I know with COVID it's been different, but I'm excited to see that as well because it's going to bring a little bit of normalcy. I think it's good for football. I think it's good for the NFL. I think the Super Bowl is actually going to be great for the NFL, no matter who wins. But as far as my choice, I got to go with the Bucs. I think their defense is very good. Everybody's touched on that. I think it's going to be exciting either way.
So let's talk about some battles that we're going to see throughout the game. So one of them being the Chiefs offensive line against the Buccaneers defensive line. I started with Isaac. I mean, obviously, Chiefs are dealing with some major injuries on the offensive line. But I feel like there hasn't been really that much chatter about it so far this week. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think that's the way it is because every guy that steps up on that Chiefs offense does a really good job. We saw it with the Nick Allegretti last season. He stepped up and became a permanent starter this year. And he was a guy that was on the practice squad last year, just came in because of injuries. It seems like they always have that next man up mentality, like every team does, but they kind of capitalize on it. And they're not a big running, team. I mean, at times they do look great on the run, but these guys are mainly pass blocking, and they can find guys to go in there and just fit the plugs and protect for Mahomes. And we saw, Mahomes is still mobile. We thought, with the turf toe 2 weeks ago that he wasn't going to scramble around. He was the same Mahomes. Yeah, he didn't take off and run as much, as he usually does, but he's still moving around in the pocket, still making plays. And I think, just having a guy like that just eliminates a lot of chatter about the offensive line for the Chiefs. I think, like I said, if you put anyone in there, they're going to do a decent job at pass blocking. But as far as running, we'll see. I don't know about the running game this week.
Parker.
Yeah, I mean, one of the best news for me in terms of the defensive line for the Buccaneers is, we saw them getting after Aaron Rodgers last week, but Vita Vea's back, and he is very underrated for that defense.
Very underrated.
Yeah, and you could see it. He took the pressure off the edge rushers. They got to Aaron Rodgers. I think that's going to be a big component, and he stops the run too. He's a big plug of a nose tackle. So, like Isaac was saying, I think the run game might be an issue for the Chiefs. I know they have Lev Bell, they have Edwards-Helaire. They great running backs. Damian Williams as well, right? They can all play for sure, but the defensive line for the Buccaneers is just a different level.
Tarian.
And to add to that point, no one blitzes as much as Todd Bowles does too. So he blitzes an awful lot. So missing your starting left tackle with a team that blitzes so much, and like I stated before, Patrick Mahomes has showed that he can throw interceptions if you catch them, right? So I think the film room is going to be a really important coming into this week of blitzing, right? And getting getting containment and getting that edge, because losing Eric Fisher, that's a big loss for them, at left tackle. So yeah, so I think that's important, the pass blocking, and I don't understand why that's not more of a story. It should be, but it definitely needs to be, so.
Abe.
Yeah, I think you look at the two offenses and it's vertical passing games. The Chiefs, obviously, we know with Tyreek Hill during the regular season when these two teams played, he had 200 yards, 3 touchdowns on this team, right? So they know all about the vertical passing game with Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes. We also know that with last week, the Bucs had a really good vertical passing game. Scotty Miller, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, even AB didn't even play, but if he's healthy for this game, he'll be good. And that's another weapon you can use downfield. So these are two vertical offenses. Andy Reid's probably going to be a little more gimmicky. And I think Bruce Arians is a little more kind of just get it downfield. Kind of, he's very risky. But I think Andy Reid might kind of screw some stuff up and then take a shot. But I think if the secondaries, if they can capitalize on opportunities, there will be some bad throws. There's going to be some, I think, plays in the secondary where if the safety gets a good break on a ball, you could definitely get a pick because these are very aggressive offenses. And but of course, we'll see how much time they have to actually go deep because of the pass rushers. Because we know, Shaquille Barrett, one-on-one, he was a problem against the Packers. Vita Vea, he takes up 2 blockers, the nose tackle. And then, of course, JPP had a really good game. So they have 3 good pass rushers that can get home. So we got to see if, Mahomes even has time. So they're going to have to block that. Travis Kelce might have to block at certain times. The running backs might have to block just to give him time because you don't want to, have this guy, all these guys just get home. You can't even do anything. You can't even attack downfield. But I don't think it'll be a problem. I think they'll figure it out. And I think they're going to have a pretty solid offensive day.
Really quick, can I mention the importance of Vita Vea too really quick? When the Chiefs are on the goal line, they do a lot of misdirection. And that one play where he flips it underhand?
Yeah.
And it always goes to the middle, right? So having a guy like Vita Vea just stay home and just put his fat hands up, that's important. You need him there. Because I don't understand why no team in the league stops that play. They're 6 for 6 on that play. But we already know it's going to go to the middle, every single time. So Vita Vea is important to be in the middle just to stay there. Just sit there. Right? Because if Tony Romo's ass can call this, I don't understand why nobody else can. It's it's going to go to the middle every single time. Whenever they don't ever follow the misdirection. They just sit there and they follow the misdirection, and they just don't stay in the middle. So I think Vita Vea is important this season as well.
Well, Vita Vea also, he eats up two offensive linemen every play. He's that big of a presence. And if you one-on-one block him, he's got enough speed and athleticism to get to the quarterback and sack him. So, he's definitely a big X factor this game for sure. But to touch on what Abe said, there's going to be opportunities. If it was anything like the Green Bay game, you can tell Brady's lost the touch on his arm, and everyone's been saying that all year. I think there's going to be an opportunity for sure.
All right, Josh.
Hey, hold on. Before Smitty Smith goes, Taran, you were talking about how the Buccaneers love to blitz, and I know – when you look at Patrick Mahomes, he's one of the better passers against the blitz. And I looked it up. His career passer rating when 5 players blitz him is 116.5. That's outrageous.
Yeah.
But see, I think to me, I think that stat too is very, very misleading because, as I've said before, there's a highlight that I've watched on so many times on Twitter this year. He's had the most dropped interceptions his last 3 years off of plays where off blitz plays. He'll literally sit there, he'll run backwards, and he'll throw the ball no look, and a team will drop the ball, and he has 16 dropped interceptions this year, and then the next play is a touchdown, or next play it's a first down. So I think that to me, that's a very misleading stat based off the simple fact that he can react well off of blitzes. But at the same time, teams don't capitalize off of those, right? So when you're going to call a blitz, catch the interception, catch the ball. They drop so many balls that he just throws to them, right? Pause. But they drop a lot of interceptions. So it's crazy, So I don't know. It's just crazy.
All right, Josh. Let me get your thoughts on the Bucs defensive line against the Chiefs offensive line.
I think everyone makes a lot of great points. I think the reason why it's not as huge a storyline as everybody thinks it might or it should be is that Andy Reid is just such a good preparer. His preparation is so great. he's gonna do things that alleviate that from the offensive line. He's gonna, like I think Abe mentioned, they're gonna throw some gimmicks. They're gonna do some things that will relieve some of that pressure. They might bring someone in to chip block. Andy Reid will do what needs to be done in order to make that weakness possibly even into a strength. That's just what he does. He does very well at. I agree with you guys that having that defensive line at full strength is going to be a problem. It's going to force Mahomes out of the pocket. He's going to have to do some things that, I haven't heard anything about the Turk's toe, but if that does happen to bring its head up, that could be a problem. I mean, it's just, like I said, it's just going to be these defenses that are going to be so important to this game, and it's exciting.
Yeah, and Todd Bowles is one of the best defensive coordinators in the league. Kendall, welcome to the party. How you doing?
What's going on, man?
Hey, man, let me get your thoughts on the matchup, Bucs defensive line against Chiefs offensive line, and how come you don't think that it's being talked about so far this week?
I mean, the Chiefs, they got some pretty good depth at offensive line. I was doing a little bit of reading earlier today. They got some pretty good depth there. They think they got Showtime Mahomes. He can cure all their wounds, I guess. So, I mean, he's been doing it so far, and Andy Reid just gonna let them sit back there in their pocket, shotgun, 3-4 wide, and just let them go. I mean, they don't care who's hurt. It's the Super Bowl, so everybody just got to bring their A game. That's what I think. But I do think they're going up against a different animal in Tampa Bay. You got Sue, Vader's back. Barrett, Pierre-Paul. I mean, they got some dogs that can get out of that Kansas City offensive line and exploit their weakness. But it's gonna be a great match. I can't wait to see it.
Great point, Tori. Mahomes will definitely give the opposition a chance for a turnover due to his Brett Favre tendencies. Watch for Devin White to possibly come up and with a turnover in this game.
I think so too.
Yes.
Yeah, you just got to catch the ball when he throws it to you. That's it.
One of the last questions that I want to ask you guys before we end this live stream is, give me your guys' X factor and why. Let's start out with Isaac.
X factor in this game. For Tampa Bay, it's got to be either Ronald Jones Jr. or Leonard Fournette. A couple of you have already touched on how they need to get that running game going. I think that's very key. You guys have already said it. Time of possession, you got to beat this team in time of possession to beat this team. And for the Chiefs, though, I think you always see Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce have their games. I don't know the last time that Travis Kelce didn't have a good game, but I think they're going to need a guy in Mecole Hardman or Sammy Watkins to kind of step up and be that X factor for them, because we know about the obvious guys. If they can get that running game going, even though I don't think they will, look for Darrell Williams to do what he did a couple weeks ago. Kind of shocked all of us. He got going. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was a non-factor in that game, but you just can't underestimate anyone on either offense. So anyone to me could be an X factor, really.
Parker.
Yeah, this is actually a good question. I haven't thought about it too much, but kind of just the first two names that come off the top of my head are Chris Jones and Frank Clark. I think Tampa's going to struggle running the ball in the Super Bowl, but both of those guys are good run stoppers and both are good at rushing the passer. So, I mean, Frank Clark's better than Wirfs. Jones is better than any interior guy on the Buccaneers. So I think if they can both keep hassling Brady and get him beat up early, and I mean, that's probably a good X factor. On the other side, on the Bucs side, like I said, Vita Vea has a big impact. JPP, I mean, there's a handful of names. Devin White, obviously. The list goes on. I mean, there's so much talent between these two teams. It's hard to pick out one. I think if one guy rises to the occasion and takes over a game by himself, I think that's quite possible as well.
Tarian, who's your X factor?
I would say for the Chiefs, it'll be Honey Badger. They just put him in different positions to make plays. He lines up at different positions. I feel like they're going to try to put him in positions to blitz Brady, because we know, like, at this age, I don't know if Brady's going to get away from the blitz. Also, you could put him in the nickel, you put him in the slot, like you can play him in multiple different positions. And I would say for the Bucs, I would say running back, either Leonard Fournette or Ronald Jones. I know, Parker indicated that it's going to be hard to run, and I agree. But I think you're going to need to establish the run. I think you're going to need to be physical, because I think that's the one thing that people don't play. They don't do that to the Chiefs, and they need to run the football. One of their losses this year, and I hate to strut my stuff with the Raiders, but Raiders ran the football. They had a one drive where they held them to 15. They had to have the ball for 15 minutes. Time of possession, not 15 minutes, but 15 plays. So it's like, if you have that opportunity to run the ball, run the ball. You have two great ones in Ronald Jones. You have another one in Leonard Fournette. And Ronald Jones can catch the ball in the backfield. He can do multiple things, right? So I think controlling the time of possession and utilizing all your weapons, and not just thinking that Tom Brady is an old Tom Brady and he can throw the ball 41 times with Patrick Mahomes. He's not going to pass the ball that much with Patrick Mahomes. So run the ball, establish a rhythm. So I think that's important.
Abe.
Yeah, I got to go with Shaquille Barrett. I think what I saw him do against Rick Wagner one-on-one for a lot of the game last week, again in the NFC Championship game, it kind of made me think, if he's able to do this along with JPP on the other side, who I also think is going to be very important in this game, along with Vita Vea taking up those two blockers in the interior, I think they're going to be able to limit Tyreek Hill, particularly in terms of the time that he has to get downfield. But again, that's easier said than done. It's really hard. But I think if Shaquille Barrett does, it's usually it's mostly about timely. So on third down, Shaquille Barrett can really make a difference. But pass rushing, then I think the Bucs are gonna have a pretty good shot to win. But I think if they can't come up with a really good pass rush, especially on third down, because we know there's gonna be a lot of third downs, and those third downs will be really important. Some of them longer ones where the pass rusher is kind of gonna tee off. I think that's gonna be a big determinant in this game. So yeah.
All right, Josh.
I think for the Bucs, I think Devin White's going to be a huge X factor for them. He just plays with such a high motor. He's a guy that can really single-handedly change the demeanor of the offense and get that defense really going. If he can get a turnover, that just changes things. He's really a game changer. As far as the Chiefs, I think Mecole Hardman is going to be a huge factor, because you need that third guy to step up as an option for Pat Mahomes, especially if they're getting to him. Somebody needs to do some work, and I think that Mecole Hardman is going to be the guy to do that, and so it's going to be real fun to watch.
Kendall.
For the Chiefs, I'm gonna go with Sammy Watkins. I mean, he seems to always come up big in some of these big games. I'm going Sammy Watkins for the Chiefs. And I think he's going to have a pretty big game. I'm not going to give my prediction on the game yet, but I am going with Watkins for the Chiefs. For the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I'm going with Carlton Davis. I think he's going to have a bounce-back game from last time when Tyreek Hill torched him for about 200 yards. I still don't want to give my prediction, but I'm kind of leaning one way. But yeah, I think Carlton Davis, he's going to have a big game. So Carlton Davis and Sammy Watkins.
All right, and the last question I want to ask you gentlemen tonight: who wins the MVP in Super Bowl 55? Started with Isaac.
This is tough, because I feel like I wouldn't say never. It doesn't always go to the guy that actually deserves it. Last year when the Chiefs won it, I didn't think Mahomes deserved the MVP. I thought Damian Williams actually deserved it. He played lights out in that game, had a couple of touchdowns, but it's a lot of favoritism when it comes to MVP, both regular season and Super Bowl. So if the Chiefs win, I think Mahomes is going to get it. If the Buccaneers win, I can see Tom Brady not getting it and a defender getting it, maybe Shaquille Barrett or Devin White.
Parker.
Yeah, I agree with what Isaac said. I mean, if Tampa Bay wins, I'm definitely leaning Devin White, Shaquille Barrett, maybe even Carlton Davis if he gets 2 interceptions or something like that, or even Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. I mean, depends how big their impact is. Chiefs side of the ball, maybe Travis Kelce, depends on his game. Maybe the Honey Badger, maybe a guy that gets multiple sacks. Who knows? I mean, it can go up, but I guess making a definite decision here, I'll go with Tyrann Mathieu, and let's say Devin White.
Torian.
So, the last time the Chiefs and Tampa played, Tyreek Hill had a huge game, and I think that this game they're not going to allow themselves to get beat on the double move. So they're going to instantly try to eliminate the threat of Tyreek Hill going deep. So I think Travis Kelce is in position to win the MVP. As far as the Bucs are concerned, I agree with the Devin White thing. Having a broken offensive line with the Chiefs, there's a lot of opportunity to get to the quarterback, and I feel like he'll come up with some strip sacks, or he could have come up with a big strip sack. He could come up with a big interception. He's going to do something big in this game. It's going to kind of remind me of Von Miller when Von Miller played against the Broncos. Oh no, he's on the Broncos when he played against Carolina Panthers, right? So, yes, I could kind of see Devin White. So it'd be either Devin White or Kelce for me.
All right. Abe.
Yeah, I think if the Buccaneers win, I also see, probably multiple interceptions. That probably means they get, just because I think in terms of how explosive the Chiefs are, how well they play against the Bills in the AFC Championship game, I just think, if the Buccaneers win, they're going to have to probably get 2 turnovers, in which case I think Devin White, Levante David are very good candidates for MVP. But I think if the Chiefs win, I think Travis Kelce is probably my number 1 candidate, just because I think there's going to be a really good effort from the Buccaneers, especially Todd Bowles, to take away Tyreek Hill. I mean, they know in the Super Bowl they can't give up 215 yards and 3 touchdowns. So I think they're going to try a lot of different stuff. I think Travis Kelce is probably going to get a lot of looks, but it's going to come down to those linebackers against Kelce. I think if it's not Kelce, you look at a guy, Sammy Watkins for sure, a guy that's reliable, that was there in the Super Bowl last year in the playoff run and played really well, actually. So I think, Watkins and Kelce, and then the linebackers, Levante David and Devin White, if the Buccaneers end up winning the game.
Josh.
If the Buccaneers win, I'm going to go with my X factor, Devin White. I mean, for all the reasons I said earlier, I feel like he's somebody that can score for the defense. And I think that if the Bucs win, he's going to be the guy. The Chiefs win, I can't bet against Patrick Mahomes. I mean, because he's the guy that's getting the ball to these guys. I think Kai said it in the comments. It's so true that it's going to go to Patrick Mahomes because he's quickly becoming the face of the NFL as well. Everybody knows him. He's a household name. So.
All right, Kendall.
If the Chiefs win, I'm gonna go with Sammy Watkins because I believe the Buccaneers they're gonna take away Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. They're gonna do everything they can to take them away. If the Bucs win, I'm going with I got 2: Scotty Miller or Jason Pierre-Paul.
All right, and I'm not giving you my game prediction, but I think Devin White's gonna win the MVP of Super Bowl 55. All right. With that being said, any final thoughts before we end this live stream?
I just keep running through different names in my head, and I mean, the more and more I think about this Tampa Bay defense, I mean, Ndamukong Suh, Abe just said Levante David. I mean, the Sean Murphy Bunting, right? I mean, and then you got to factor in obviously if the safeties are healthy, you have Antoine Winfield Jr., who's been great all season. Yeah. I mean, the name just it just keeps turning in my head, and it's crazier every time I think about it.
So, is this race going to happen before or after the weekend performs?
I would say probably before. That way they have some time to rest up for the second half. But because we all know how long these Super Bowl halftime shows can last.
For real.
I think another really underrated matchup in this game, I think, is going to be Tom Brady looking off Tyrann Mathieu. So, I mean, Tom Brady, a lot of the times, he knows where he's going. He knows where he wants to go with the ball, which is why he gets rid of it so fast. And he's very cerebral in that manner. So he'll try to look off a lot of what he does. He'll try to look off a safety and hold him in one place because he knows he's going somewhere else. And then he'll just have like a perfect one-on-one. And then all he has to do is make the throw, which he's done millions of times. So I think what Tyrann Mathieu is able, if he doesn't get too manipulated and kind of just like, you have to kind of balance out Godwin. You got Evans, you got AB. If he's able to kind of have like a good grasp in the secondary and not really get too fooled by Brady, especially with his eyes, I think that's going to be really important.
All right, perfect. All right, guys, thank you so much for hopping on tonight, and thank you everyone for watching. We'll be back tomorrow at the same time. Till then, have a great night. Stay safe.